Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. As usual, you have exceeded expectation. You are in large numbers and breaking records of attendance. So I am honored this morning to present the opening keynote speaker, the Honorable Marco Mendicino. Mr. Mendicino has been elected the first time in 2015, Eglinton Lawrence. Then he was championing the fact of helping housing, transit, and other aspects of the economy of his region. Mr. Mendicino has served and worked before being member of parliament as a prosecutor. He worked at the Law Society of Ontario, and definitely has a long path of understanding law and advocacy. Mr. Mendicino is today with us to speak about immigration, the economy, and all aspects related to it. I will start with the keynote. Minister, the floor is yours, so you can start. Thank you for being with us today live from Ottawa.
Thank you very much, Dory. Bonjour tout le monde. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm joining today's conference from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin people. I want to thank you again for that kind introduction, Dory, and I want to thank the Canada Association of Professional Immigration Consultants for inviting me today, and I'll echo the happy 15th anniversary. I hope you're all staying healthy, that your families are healthy, and that notwithstanding this very difficult and challenging moment that we find ourselves in, that like me, you see a point on the horizon not too far off that gives us reason for hope, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And certainly some of the news that we've been hearing about Canada's market share of the vaccines, which are hopefully coming as quickly as possible, is reason for confidence. But we are not out of the woods yet. And I just want to wish you all good health and certainly to stay together in this challenging moment. Almost 1 year ago, 364 days to be exact, I was sworn in as Canada's Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship. Last week, I was asked in a press conference about whether or not it was everything that I envisioned. Well, it's been that and a lot more. I knew this portfolio would be both challenging and rewarding, and facing a global pandemic has only made it more so. It only goes without saying that a lot has changed, but one thing hasn't: Canada's need for immigration. Of course, I don't need to tell you all that. You all understand very well the importance of immigration. We share the same values and the same goals: strengthening this country through safe and orderly immigration. I enjoyed our meeting several months ago, and I'm pleased to share that we're making progress on many of the issues and priorities that we discussed. Back in May, you raised with me the impact of the pandemic on international students and their importance to Canada, and we couldn't agree more. International students bring so much to our institutions and communities, and I'm proud that despite the travel restrictions we've had to put in place, we've found ways for them to still come and study here. Their status may be temporary, but the contributions of international students are lasting, as we all know. We're working closely with provinces and territories to ensure that institutions have plans to welcome them and to address the impacts of COVID-19 while ensuring we maintain our strong and healthy safety protocols. In an uncertain time, we hope to give international students just a little more certainty. Those with complete applications are getting priority processing to make sure they can begin their classes while outside of Canada online and complete up to half of their program abroad if they can't travel sooner. We've also created a temporary process to help international students who can't submit all of their necessary documents. But we don't just want them to study here once they arrive. We sincerely hope that they consider settling here for the rest of their lives. And that's why we've also made it easier for those with a study permit to stay, granting them work once they qualify as economic immigrants. I'm sure some of you may have heard of a company called ApplyBoard. It was started by three brothers, Massey, Meti, and Martin Baziri, who came to Canada as international students. After coming here to study at the University of Waterloo, the Baziri brothers became permanent residents under our startup visa program. With more than 500 employees in 20 countries, ApplyBoard now has helped 100,000 international students from around the world to apply to colleges and universities here in Canada. And in just 5 short years, it has already reached unicorn status, which means that it's worth over $1 billion. By opening our doors to people, we open our doors to prosperity and the next Baziri brothers. Another issue you raised was the need for better leveraging of technology and innovation, like artificial intelligence, and we are. It goes without saying that COVID-19 has transformed how we do business and accelerated the adoption of technology. Firstly, we reoriented our processing and operations, introducing measures to continue landing permanent residents. In fact, our virtual landings process has significantly reduced the time that it had conventionally taken to land someone. More of our processes and forms can now be completed online, making things easier and more efficient for everyone. With public gatherings off the table for the foreseeable future, we've also had to rethink citizenship ceremonies. Now, there's nothing more that I enjoy than welcoming new members of the Canadian family into citizenship. And while the setting has changed, the significance of those ceremonies has not. We've taken things online and welcomed thousands of new Canadians virtually. I want to tell you about a special one. On Canada Day, I had the great privilege of participating in a first ever unique virtual citizenship ceremony for healthcare workers from coast to coast to coast. I watched as new Canadians like Omer Imtiaz, a personal support worker in Prince Edward Island, joined the Canadian family. And he said the following: I can never count my blessings enough for what Canada and its people have given me. This is my way of giving back to the community, giving to the most vulnerable. Words and inspirational stories like Omer's have echoed across Canada, and particularly in our hospitals and long-term healthcare homes. This kind of giving back, the embodiment of our Canadian qualities, demonstrates that while these newcomers may not yet have papers in hand, they are certainly demonstrating uniquely Canadian qualities. Nous sommes maintenant très près de pouvoir reprendre les examens de citoyenneté en tirant parti de la technologie pour permettre aux candidats de passer leur examen en ligne. Nous savons combien il est important d'être agile pendant cette période et à l'avenir. Les leçons apprises maintenant nous seront bien utiles, tandis que nous continuerons à faire grandir notre pays grâce à l'immigration. The final issue from our meeting is one that I know many of you have been waiting to hear about, and that is the new College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. This college will be a big step forward, with the authority to oversee the profession and the tools to support consultants and to protect those who need services. It will investigate and discipline fraudulent consultants and hold them accountable. I know these are issues that you all care very deeply about. And while the pandemic has created some delay and disruption, I want to assure you that our commitment remains unwavering, and we will follow through with this important commitment. À mesure que nous avançons vers 2021, le gouvernement devrait pouvoir se concentrer davantage sur les priorités non liées à la COVID-19. So I've talked about what we've been doing over the past little while, and now I'd like to look forward. From that famous expression, demography is destiny, we can derive an enduring lesson about immigration in Canada. It's no coincidence that our country's greatest eras of economic expansion, from the turn of the 20th century to the post-World War II boom, to the impressive growth the past number of years, all of them have coincided with significant immigration. That's because when our population grows, our economy grows, and we all benefit. We're at a unique juncture in Canadian history. We're facing this challenge together, and we will meet the moment. And that's why I was very excited to recently table our annual immigration plan for 2021 to 2023, our roadmap for the future. Immigration is the key to our short-term economic recovery and long-term prosperity. And that's why the plan lays out a vision to increase our numbers over the next 3 years by about 1% of Canada's domestic population. Travel restrictions and other constraints have led to a shortfall this year, and we'll need to redouble our efforts to make up for it. With nearly 60% of all new admissions in the economic class, our plan is focused on creating jobs. Communities with the most immigration consistently see the fastest growth, which is why we're working to attract more newcomers to smaller cities and rural regions, building on the success of our Atlantic immigration and rural and northern immigration pilot programs. Nous reconnaissons également l'importance d'appuyer les nouveaux arrivants d'expression française pour contribuer à la vitalité et au dynamisme de nos communautés francophones hors Québec. Nous l'avons présenté par des actions concrètes. Nous le réitérons aujourd'hui. We believe in keeping families together, which is why we will continue to support family reunification through various initiatives. It goes without saying that 2020 has been particularly challenging in this regard. While travel has been restricted, we provided exemptions for immediate families and have made it easier for them to be here for longer in Canada. And we recently extended those measures to ensure families with loved ones abroad can be together in this most challenging time. Finally, we continue to be the global leader in refugee resettlement. The United Nations has recognized Canada as the #1 country in the world for welcoming refugees, and that's something we should all be proud of. It's not just about the numbers. It's about how we welcome them into our communities as neighbors, as local business owners, as co-workers, and as aspiring Canadians who add to our social fabric. And this is due in large part to the compassion and generosity of Canadians. The past months have shown our system is capable of safe and orderly migration, even under the most difficult of circumstances. We continue to improve and welcome new Canadians. The contributions of immigrants, including filling gaps that existed before the pandemic, are indispensable. As we rebuild our economy, they're essential. Immigration must be a pillar of Canada's post-pandemic economic recovery plan, said my friend Goldie Hyder, the president of the Business Council of Canada. And we agree, because immigration creates jobs. 1 in 3 businesses with employees is owned by an immigrant, creating tens of thousands of jobs from construction to retail. There are more than 600,000 self-employed immigrants, and more than 260,000 of them have paid employees. As we rebuild our economy, we're also mindful of the long-term challenges facing Canada. Alors que nous nous concentrons sur la relance de notre économie, nous sommes également conscients des défis à long terme auxquels le Canada est confronté. Our workforce is aging rapidly. In 1971, there were roughly 7 workers for every retiree. Today, about 3 to 1. By 2035, there will only be 2 workers for every retiree. At that alarming rate, Canadians will have to pay 40% more for essential services like healthcare. Thanks to immigration, our labor force continues to grow by a small amount every year. Since 2013, all net growth in the job market has come from immigrants. Put simply, we need more workers, and immigration is the way to get there. En raison du vieillissement de la population, des pénuries de main-d'œuvre et de la nécessité de financer nos futurs programmes sociaux, l'immigration est un élément clé de notre économie. Canadians understand that in spite of the challenges of our pandemic, our immigration system is a competitive advantage that fuels Canada's success. La hausse des niveaux d'immigration nous aiderait à remédier aux problèmes démographiques qui continueront de nous affecter bien après la pandémie et définir nos intentions pour les années à venir. This is the choice we can make together for our country. It's the choice we should make now so that Canada's destiny is not constrained by our demographics. Immigration reflects who we were, who we are, and who we want to be. We're choosing to be open, vibrant, and prosperous. And I know that we can count on your support and partnership every step of the way. Thank you. Merci.
Merci, Monsieur le ministre. Très apprécié. Maintenant, je vais juste toucher à quelques points que vous avez mentionnés et puis on va continuer sur les mêmes points que vous avez amenés durant votre allocution. So first, I would like to start with the planning for the upcoming years. How would you see this happening with the increase? Even though CAPEC was supportive since 2005 for 1% of the population, it took us 15 years to get there. but that's fine, never too late. So how would you see the machine, the government implementing this target? Thank you.
Premièrement, merci Doré pour votre parole. I'm very happy to be with you, and I am grateful to you and to everybody at CAPIC for your ongoing support of immigration. And you're quite right that your advocacy has paid off, and it is better late than never. But I just want to say that our commitment to leverage immigration in a way that is positive, that is uniting, that ensures that we are propelling our economic recovery going forward is driven by that plan that I tabled about 2 weeks ago. And it's a plan that is focused on jobs, on economic recovery, and long-term prosperity. Now, most of your members will be very familiar with the ratio and the breakdown of that plan, which is to say roughly 60% for economic class immigrants, and then the other remaining percentages dedicated to family reunification and our all important work in refugees and resettlement and humanitarian work. The difference that we find ourselves in this moment is that rather than solely relying on conventional new immigration, we have a special opportunity to look within our borders and to look at the domestic immigration talent pool that is here. And that is broken into several principal categories. We have temporary workers, international students, and asylum seekers. And what I have reflected on over the past number of months as we have managed to find our way through this unprecedented year is that many of these populations and groups of immigrants are already contributing significantly to our response to COVID-19, and take the healthcare sector in particular. Now, we're in the midst of a second wave, and our doctors, our nurses, our pharmacists are already working around the clock to help everyone. But the reality is that they need support. They need reinforcements. They need a second shift. And immigration can provide that second shift. And I think Canadians understand that when you have workers who are here on the front lines, be they asylum seekers, comme les anges gardiens au Québec, or elsewhere, who are prepared to put themselves into harm's way so that Canadians can get access to the health and healthcare and the treatment that they need, that it behooves us to look at ways to broaden the road to permanent residency. And that's what we are going to be very much focused on this year.
Thank you, thank you. And in fact, there is another issue, which is international students. It's always a hot issue. First of all, we are at CAPIC have brought your attention prior about the Education Partner Program, which has over 1,000 members within CAPIC who recruit international students and are all authorized representatives. So we're getting the standard to a much higher level. The second thing is we have also been advocates for a long time to convert a very large group of international students into our economy, because we believe this is something that we should consider for the future. So what is the percentage of international students that you have as a CAP, if any? And the other question here is, comment vous pouvez nous aider comme gouvernement pour améliorer le service de partenariat? So how can you as government support the Education Partner Program to succeed and excel in helping Canada getting better students, international students?
C'est une excellente question et j'avais une discussion très constructive avec nos partenaires dans le secteur académique et toutes les universités et les collèges hier. La substance de cette discussion avait mis un focus sur la collaboration entre notre gouvernement et tous nos partenaires provinciaux et même toutes les écoles qui veulent créer une façon, une voiture pour attirer les étudiants internationaux. Il y a plusieurs des raisons que ce programme est essentiel. Premièrement, au cause de l'économie, les étudiants contribuent beaucoup à l'économie, mais même leur contribution à la fabrique sociale. We know that how important it is that international students continue to look to Canada as a top destination to pursue their studies. And what we emphasized in my discussion yesterday with universities and colleges across Canada is the need for ongoing collaboration so that we can maintain a competitive advantage. Because there are many other like-minded countries who also see this group, this population, as a very attractive one. So for our part, what we have done is we have taken feedback like some of the feedback that we received from CAPIC, whether it's offering online courses or demonstrating flexibility around work permits while studying here, particularly in the essential sector. We have managed to modify and streamline our policies so that international students may begin to start their studies even if they can't be here physically. But of course, as of October 20th, we were able to revive a pathway for students to come to Canada, having done several things first. First and foremost, ensuring that the resources were present at the border. Public health and safety protocols are absolutely vital to protect the health and safety of Canadians. And that is more true today than it has ever been before, particularly as we face a second wave. But the second thing was to ensure that universities and colleges were themselves ready to receive international students, because many of them are vulnerable, members of a vulnerable population. They have not been yet to Canada. So orientation, support for language, making sure that international students are distanced and have access to PPE. All of these measures had to be in place and met with the provincial guidelines and federal guidelines before we will issue a visa. What this does is it creates a pathway, but it also instills in the public confidence that we are opening these pathways in a way that is safe, orderly, and responsible. I'm very optimistic about the future of Canada's international student program, because we know that it has been such a driving force for our economy and enhancing of our social fabric going forward. And there are many, many other possibilities, I think, in the future where we can continue to build on those successes.
Thank you. In fact, staying into the economy, we have been submitting for some time now, and I hope it won't be another 15 years to convince the government about business immigration. And in many instances, decisions were taken. We believe the decisions were not based on statistics. And what we're looking for from the federal government outside of the provinces, a business program that allows Canada as a whole to receive international funds after COVID, and I hope it's going to be soon, by getting entrepreneurs, investors, investment funds to be part of our immigration process. At the end of the day, within the 16% economic recruitment, we really need a big chunk of businesses to come and establish in Canada. So what is your view on that?
Well, I think you're right to raise the question, and I think that there is some merit to exploring pathways that allow for individuals who wish to come to Canada and invest here to realize that opportunity. And we do have existing programs like the Startup Visa, the one that I mentioned that led ultimately to the Baziri brothers coming to resettle here, as one that might potentially be one that could be expanded. But I also want to address one of the central premises of your question, one of the other central premises of your question, which is around the ratio or the mix of different classes of immigrants reflected in our immigration plan. And you're quite right. We have placed, I think, an appropriate emphasis on economic immigration, because it is one of the main reasons why we need immigrants. We would like people to come and contribute their skills, their talent, their experience, but it is in no way incompatible with doing the other important work around family reunification and resettling refugees. And so I believe that we have struck that balance, and that more importantly, by reuniting families and by offering opportunities to the world's most vulnerable, they too contribute to our economy. They contribute in several material ways. With families having additional parents and other relatives here, you create a support network, and that can allow for a greater, fuller participation of everyone in the workforce. And when it comes to refugees, I've often said, when I've been asked to speak in different forums about this, that we need to cast aside this stigma that refugees are simply victims. They are not. They are also professionals, engineers, researchers, artists, workers, entrepreneurs, and they have as much to contribute as everyone else does. And that's why pilot projects like the EMPP, the Experienced Mobility Protected Persons Pilot Project, which is being headed by my department, demonstrates a transition from seeking refugee status into the workforce. And so I think we have a plan that has been recognized by the OECD as being the best in the world when it comes to integration, and we will continue to build on that success.
All right, as you know, we are short of time. However, je voudrais juste emmener la dernière question. Est-ce qu'on s'attend de vous à une petite annonce plus claire concernant le collège? Can we get out of you today a more sharp timeline on the College Proclamation Act?
As soon as we can, my friend. I know how important this particular initiative is to you and to everybody at CAPIC, and I will just say it is part of my mandate. We are laser-like focused on creating it, and as soon as we have material news to share, you will be among the first that we share that news with. That is my commitment to you. Et je veux remercier pour l'opportunité pour partager quelques paroles sur le dossier d'immigration et même pour la conversation ce matin.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le ministre. En conclusion, je vous remercie pour votre temps avec nous. C'était un plaisir de vous avoir. As usual, I hope really that COVID goes away and then we meet face to face as we have done with all previous ministers. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for all the support you are giving the community and immigration as a whole in Canada. Wish you a great day. Thank you, Minister.
A great pleasure. Avec plaisir. À la prochaine.
Merci.